You were never alone. The universe was quietly building your fortress while they tried to break you. And now that fortress is their nightmare. The universe has been on your side since day one, not day two, not when you figured it out, not when you healed. Day one. So how dare they think they could come for you and win? How dare they believe the universe would sit back and let them dismantle its chosen without consequence? How dare they plot your downfall like you were some forgotten soul? They miscalculated. Their time to fall isn't coming. It's here. And this time, they won't just fall. They'll rot. Slowly, loudly, publicly. Before we go deeper, like this video, subscribe if you feel the shift. If you know the reversal has already started. Every click tells the algorithm that this message is meant for more chosen ones like you. Don't just feel this. Feed it. Spread it. The more this reaches, the more we amplify our collective power. Let the truth move like fire. Now let's get back into it. You thought your tears went unnoticed? That the sleepless nights were just suffering? No. That was the universe pulling you out, waking you up, and reshuffling the battlefield so that when the real war came, you were too elevated to be touched. Look at your life right now. Look closely. The signs have been everywhere. That gut feeling, that whisper in your spirit telling you don't trust them, that door that slammed shut in your face just before you found out the truth about who was really behind it. That wasn't misfortune. That was protection. You haven't been alone. You've been positioned, hidden, guarded. Still, you doubted, didn't you? Don't lie. You questioned your worth. You questioned your strength. You wondered if you were overreacting, if maybe they were right about you. But they weren't. They never were. And the fact that they spent so much time trying to convince others you were broken, that was the first clue that your power terrified them, because your silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. The universe doesn't need to shout when it's about to strike. Now look, they're unraveling. Quietly first, then violently, then pitifully. Their peace is a performance. Their success is a shell. They can't sleep. They can't think. They can't fake it anymore. And the worst part? You're not even touching them. You're not clapping back. You're not dragging their name. You've moved on. And that is what's killing them. Because chosen ones don't get revenge. They get results. Every glow-up of yours is a scream in their soul. Every new connection, every dollar you earn, every level you rise to is a hammer cracking the glass house they tried to build with your pain. Their curses didn't stick. Their gossip didn't land. Their dark energy didn't dent the force field around you, because the universe never left. So how dare you doubt now? How dare you carry their projections like they were ever yours to bear? Chosen one, this isn't just survival. This is domination. This is the kind of glow that makes your enemies panic in silence. This is the kind of rise they can't sabotage, because they already tried, and they lost. Not just once, every time. You are not imagining the shift. You're not crazy for noticing the fallout. What you're seeing is universal correction in real time, and every piece that's falling apart around them, it's the evidence that you were always protected, always chosen, always destined to rise. So rise like you mean it. Walk like you know who backs you, and next time the doubt creeps in, remind yourself, you're not fighting alone. The universe already declared you untouchable, and now they're the ones who should be afraid. So if this already hit your spirit, don't just watch in silence. Let your presence be known. Drop the number 77 in the comments to claim what's already yours, and to remind the universe you're done playing small. Every like, every share, every subscription makes this message louder, stronger, and harder to ignore. This isn't just content. this is a signal to every other chosen one still waking up. You're not alone, and you were never beat. Let's make sure they hear it this time, not just spiritually, but digitally. And now, let's tear it down piece by piece. Because if you're truly chosen, you won't be able to walk away from this message. You'll feel it in your chest, in your spine, in your soul. So, settle in, breathe deep. Let's begin. Number 1, they thought you were weak. Now they tremble. They thought you were prey, but the universe was just letting them dig their own grave while you sharpened your crown in silence. They really thought they had you, didn't they? Thought they could mock you, drain you, discard you, and walk away untouched. Thought you'd stay silent, stay broken, stay buried. They mistook your stillness for surrender, your pain for weakness, your humility for helplessness. But what they didn't know is that while they were laughing, the universe was loading the consequences. Every smirk, recorded. Every scheme, calculated. Every whispered curse behind your back turned into a storm above theirs. Now the joke's over, and they're the punchline choking on their own narrative. Chosen one, stop pretending you didn't see this coming. You felt it, didn't you? That shift in the air, that pressure in your spirit, that chill down your spine when they smiled in your face while secretly hoping you'd collapse. They thought if they threw enough at you, lies, slander, silence, you'd finally fold. But you didn't fold, you evolved. And now they're not looking at a target, they're staring at a threat, a mirror. A reminder that what they tried to kill is still breathing, thriving, and rising beyond their reach. And you're still doubting yourself? Let's not play. You did doubt. You questioned if you were overreacting. You wondered if they were right. You asked yourself if you were too sensitive, too emotional, too much. But here's the part you forgot. The universe chose you because of your depth, because of your fire, because you feel more, and they hated you for it, because when they saw your light, it exposed every fake thing in them. You weren't too much. You were the measure they never met. Let's talk facts. They called you dramatic. Now they're having full-blown breakdowns. They said you were emotional. Now they can't even look in the mirror without shaking. They told the world you were unstable. Now they're falling apart without even being touched. What does that tell you? Your presence was the glue. Your silence is the sword. Your healing is their haunting. You ever wonder why people who don't care keep watching you, keep copying you, keep bringing up your name when no one's asking? That's not coincidence. That's karma exposure. That's fear wearing a smile. Because they know what they did. They know what they tried to be part of. And now, the same energy they used to tear you down is tearing through their lives like a flood. No one's saving them. No one's covering for them anymore. Because the universe saw everything. And the universe doesn't forget. You want proof you're chosen? Look at how many people couldn't handle your rise. Look at how many tried to distract you, betray you, dim you. Look at how many fell off the moment you started focusing inward. That's not coincidence. That's divine subtraction. The universe removes what can't handle your elevation. And they couldn't. They weren't built for the frequency. You were. And yet, you still sit there wondering, am I really that powerful? Yes, you are, because no one tries to sabotage a nobody. No one spreads rumors about someone insignificant. You only become a target when your very existence threatens their illusion. And you shattered their illusion the moment you started healing. Your glow wasn't just growth, it was judgment. Think about every great mind, every soul marked by purpose. They were attacked too, not because they were weak, but because they carried power people couldn't control. Look at Mandela. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at Frida, Tesla, Maya Angelou. They were misjudged, mocked, isolated, until history bowed to the truth of who they were. Chosen ones never get celebrated first. They get crucified before they get crowned. And now it's your turn. Not for pain, but for proof. The enemy is your proof. Their trembling, your confirmation. Their downfall, the echo of your rise. So no, you're not imagining it. They are afraid. They are spiraling. They do regret it, and they should, because they didn't just come for you, they came for what the universe ordained. And the universe does not play about its chosen. You can't fake that energy. You can't hijack that alignment. You either carry the fire or you get burned trying to touch it. They got burned, and now they tremble. And you? It's time to stop dimming for people who can't survive your light. It's time to stop apologizing for the energy that built you. It's time to stop questioning what the enemy has already confirmed. You are unstoppable, and if they didn't believe it then, they believe it now. Number 2. The universe is chosen. Don't just survive. They command. You are not a flicker in the dark. You are the sun rising, burning their shadows away. And yet, you still questioned it. Still sat there thinking, why me? Still wondered, am I really chosen? Still asked, if I'm so powerful, why did they hurt me? Listen closely, chosen one. Pain wasn't your punishment. It was your preparation. The universe didn't send those battles to break you. It sent them to burn away everything that couldn't survive where you're headed. You weren't being picked on. You were being picked out. And while you were crying, doubting, begging for relief, the enemy was watching and trembling. Because even at your lowest, they could feel your power rising. And you forgot who you are. You mistook your scars for signs of weakness instead of the stamps of survival. You thought because they walked away, the universe did too. Wrong. Dead wrong. The universe doesn't walk away from the chosen. It walks ahead, clearing paths before you even arrive. But you got so focused on the losses, the betrayals, the silence, that you started thinking the darkness was proof you were forgotten. It wasn't. That darkness was hiding you from people who wanted to feed off your light. You were never abandoned. You were concealed, covered, preserved. And now the cover is lifting. And oh, they see it now. They feel it. Every time you speak with clarity, every time you walk with peace, every time you rise without responding, it crushes them. Because you weren't supposed to make it. They told themselves you'd spiral. They told everyone else you were done. But the one thing they never expected was for you to find your voice, not a whisper, but a command. Chosen ones don't beg for power. They command it by existing. So no, you're not here to survive. You're not here to make it through. You're here to dominate every space your soul was assigned to enter. You're here to move like a tidal wave, not asking permission, not playing it safe, but crashing through every system, lie, and illusion they built to cage you. And you still doubt that? Why do you think they tried so hard to silence you? Why do you think they needed to break you emotionally before you ever stood up physically? Because they saw what you didn't, that even when you were down, you were dangerous. Because chosen ones carry weight in rooms they haven't even entered yet. You don't walk in, you shift the atmosphere, and they hate that. They envy it. They tried to clone it, tried to mimic your aura, hijack your frequency, wear your confidence like a mask, and still came up short. Because what you carry cannot be duplicated, it cannot be copied, it cannot be faked. It was forged in fire, and that's why they couldn't steal it, because they could never survive the furnace that built you. Still think you're not chosen. Then explain why the people who hurt you can't rest. Why they're watching you from behind fake pages. Why your elevation makes their life feel heavier. Because they didn't just lose you, they lost access to the only real thing they ever touched. And now that access is closed. Forever. Stop questioning what the universe has already confirmed. Stop shrinking so people don't choke on your presence. Stop turning down your volume so their lies don't sound ridiculous in comparison. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to stand out and tear down every illusion with nothing but your existence. You've survived enough. Now it's time to command. Command respect. Command space. Command alignment. Not with noise, not with pride, but with power, with certainty, with quiet fire that says, I know who I am, and I dare you to test it. You are not a flicker in the dark. You are not someone's backup light. You are the damn sun, and they are the shadows that can't outrun you. Let them squint. Let them scatter. Let them talk. Because no matter what they do, they will feel you. And the ones who tried to reduce your light, they'll remember the day they realized you were never meant to survive quietly. You were sent to command loudly. Number 3, every attack on you was a bullet that rebounded. Their arrows became boomerangs, and they're still catching them. They aimed to destroy you. Each word they whispered in secret. Each trap they set with a smile, each seed of doubt they planted in your mind when your heart was wide open. They thought they were smart, calculated, cold. They never once considered the one fatal flaw in their plan. You were chosen. And when you're chosen, every attack isn't just seen, it's returned. That's why their life is glitching now. That's why everything they try to build falls apart right under them. They thought they were firing at a target. They didn't realize they were standing in the path of their own ammunition. Now they're getting hit with everything they sent. One blow, address A, time. And let's be honest, chosen one, you felt those hits. You carried the weight of betrayal in your chest. You cried over people who smiled while stabbing you. You kept loving, you kept giving, you kept hoping, and still they threw dirt on your name. Still they tried to discredit your character. Still they moved like you were the enemy, when all you ever did was show up with love. But here's the part they forgot. Energy always returns to sender. They launched their arrows with confidence, and now they're catching them with trembling hands. You didn't have to throw anything back. The universe handles justice in ways louder than words and sharper than revenge. And it's doing exactly that. Let's get one thing straight. This isn't bad luck they're dealing with. This is recompense. That anxiety they feel now, that tightness in their chest, that's the echo of your heartbreak, multiplied. That confusion they're stuck in. That fog that won't lift. That's what they tried to summon over your mind. And now it's living rent-free in theirs. And don't lie to yourself. You've wondered, why didn't they get what they deserved? Why did they seem fine for so long? But listen to me carefully. The universe doesn't rush revenge. It times it with precision. It waits until they think they got away with it, until they start bragging about their fake peace, until they convince themselves that karma's asleep. Then it moves. Quiet, swift, brutal, and chosen one. That time is now. That job they boasted about, gone. That fake relationship they flaunted, imploding. That mask they wore so well, slipping. They're unraveling, not because you wished it, but because they earned it. You reap what you seed, and they planted poison. While they plotted, you were evolving. While they lied, you were healing. While they mocked, you were being moved into divine alignment. You stayed quiet. You stayed still. And now your stillness is screaming in their ears, because nothing makes the enemy panic more than a chosen one they can no longer reach, no longer provoke, no longer break. Every betrayal was a shovel in their own grave. Every time they doubted you, they were signing off on their own decline. And now they sit in the same pit they dug for you. Only this time, there's no way out. The ladder they thought they had snapped, gone. You were their grace, and they burned it. So stop asking if they feel bad. Stop wondering if they've changed. Stop thinking you owe them softness for their silence. They're feeling it now, and it's only just begun. You were never meant to clap back. You were meant to rise back. And the higher you rise, the harder they fall. Not because you pushed them, but because they were leaning too far over the edge watching you. You were the test. They failed. And now the universe is grading, publicly, painfully, precisely. So when the enemy spirals, let them. When they collapse under the same pressure they cheered for in your life, let them. When they cry for the mercy they never once gave you, let them. Because every bullet they fired is circling back. And you don't have to lift a finger, just keep rising. Let them feel the burn. Let them drown in the flood they danced for in your name. They fired arrows, but the universe handed them back as boomerangs. And now, they're bleeding from their own aim. Number 4, isolation is your shield, not your sentence. You weren't abandoned, you were armored in silence. And yet, you cried like you were forgotten. You looked around and thought the silence meant you were unloved, unworthy, or being punished. You sat in rooms by yourself, surrounded by the echo of people who used to be there, and thought, why am I always the one left behind? But chosen one, you weren't being left behind. You were being set apart. You were not isolated to suffer, you were isolated to survive. Because had you stayed surrounded, you would have never seen the truth. You would have never heard the voice inside you whispering, they don't love you, they just feed off you. They made you feel like you were the problem, said you were too much, too deep, too intense. But the truth is, your presence demanded too much honesty for their illusions to stay comfortable, so they pulled away, or you did. And that distance, that empty space that broke your heart at the time, it was your protection. Think about it. Why did things feel lighter the moment you disconnected? Why did you finally start breathing again when you walked away? Why did your peace return in pieces only after you were alone? Because that loneliness wasn't loneliness. It was sacred. It was a wall built by the universe, stone by stone, to keep you from being drained any further. Stop looking at your isolation like it was some cosmic punishment. It wasn't. The silence? Divine. The distance, designed. The closed doors, strategic. You prayed for clarity, didn't you? The universe answered by clearing the room. Because here's the truth. Chosen ones are rarely surrounded, not because they're unworthy of love, but because they carry energy that exposes what others are trying to hide. And when people feel that, they run. Or worse, they stay just long enough to try to dim you before you realize what you are. That's why you had to be removed, hidden, pulled back into the cave while the universe went to work. And in that cave, you were sharpened, you were strengthened, you were stripped of illusions. You were taught how to see clearly, feel deeply, move wisely. And the enemy thought your silence meant you were done? Number, you were loading. They thought the lack of noise meant defeat. They thought your social media going quiet meant breakdown. They thought the new you disappearing meant destruction. But that's because they only recognize growth when it's loud. They don't understand that chosen ones don't grow for applause. They grow for alignment, and your alignment needed space. How can you hear your purpose with all their noise around you? How can you feel your path with their weight on your shoulders? You couldn't, so the universe made a move you wouldn't. It cut the ties. And yes, it hurt. Yes, it broke you. But now look at you, breathing with your own lungs, standing on your own 2 feet, creating, building, dreaming again, without their opinions in your ear. That is not punishment, that is power. And now you wonder, why do people fall off every time I rise? Because elevation requires separation. Not everyone has the stamina to climb where you're going. Some of them weren't fake, just temporary. Some of them were never friends, just distractions in disguise. But now you see it clearly. You know the truth. And the truth has given you the very thing they tried to rob from you. Clarity. So don't rush to fill the quiet. Don't panic because you're walking alone. Don't go back to familiar just because it feels safe. Familiar almost killed you. Familiar did betray you. Familiar had you questioning your worth, your sanity, your light. The unfamiliar is where your future lives. Walk into it boldly, because the universe goes before you. And when they ask, why is the chosen one always alone? The answer is simple, because being chosen is not about being popular. It's about being prepared, and preparation requires silence. Preparation requires space. Preparation requires that you step away from the noise and step into the sacred. So next time the quiet comes, don't resist it. Thank it. Honor it. Because that silence isn't empty, it's armored, it's holy, it's yours. And the moment you embrace it fully, that's when you stop surviving the isolation and start commanding from it. Number 5. They feared your growth because it exposed their decay. Your light is a mirror. They hate what they see. They didn't hate you because you failed. They didn't turn on you when you were down. No, they applauded that. They laughed behind your back, shared their fake sympathy in public, and secretly celebrated when life hit you hard. They were comfortable with your pain. It made them feel bigger, safer, superior. But when you started healing, when you started rising, when you stood up from the ashes without asking for help, without crawling back, without needing their validation, that's when the shift happened. That's when their smiles cracked. That's when their envy turned into obsession. Because your growth did what your silence never could. It revealed their rot. They weren't afraid of your strength. They were afraid of what your strength reflected back to them. Your discipline exposed their laziness. Your peace exposed their chaos. Your boundaries exposed their control issues. You became the mirror they never asked for, and they couldn't look away. Every time you evolved, it ripped the mask off their own stagnation. Your growth forced them to face their excuses. Your rise shattered the illusion that staying stuck was acceptable. Because if you could do it, if you, the one they discarded, doubted, disrespected, could heal and thrive, then what was their excuse? But instead of growing with you, they chose to resent you. They chose to whisper, to lie, to sabotage, because the truth was too loud and too close. And the closer you got to becoming whole, the more they fell apart inside. Not because of you, but because of who they pretended to be. They wanted you to stay broken because it justified their own brokenness. They wanted you stuck so they wouldn't have to move. They wanted you dim so they could keep shining off illusion, but you didn't ask for that. You didn't consent to be their cover. So when you pulled back, when you elevated, when you stopped explaining yourself, they panicked. You weren't supposed to rise. You weren't supposed to glow. You weren't supposed to wake up one day and stop begging for crumbs, but you did. And now they hate the reflection they see because it shows them everything they are not, everything they claim to be, and everything they never became. That's the power of being chosen. You don't just evolve, you expose. Without trying, without even knowing, your existence is a light switch in dark rooms. And when that light comes on, you don't just illuminate yourself, you reveal everyone else. And now they can't hide. That's why they're spiraling now. That's why they try so hard to discredit you. That's why they bring up your past, twist your words, cling to outdated versions of you. Because the current you, the evolved you, the aligned you, it makes their entire identity feel fake. You didn't do anything to them. You just grew. You didn't attack them. You outgrew them. You didn't start a war. Your glow was the war. And now every move you make feels like a missile to their self-worth. Chosen one, this is the price of your alignment. This is the cost of becoming who you were always meant to be. Some people will not clap for your healing because your healing confirms their refusal to face themselves. But let them sit in it. Let them wrestle with the image. Let them run from the mirror you've become. That's not your burden. That's their exposure. And if you've been questioning why certain people started acting strange the moment you started doing better, this is why. They never hated you. They hated what you revealed. You were their wake-up call. You were the spiritual siren they tried to silence. But now, it's too loud. Your light is everywhere they go, even when you're not. So stop shrinking to protect their comfort. Stop dumbing down your truth to keep their lies from cracking. You weren't built to be a shadow. You were built to be the flame. And if your fire burns away their masks, then let it burn. Because the chosen don't just grow. They expose every lie that tried to survive in their absence. Number 6. The enemy's panic is the universe's confirmation. Their panic isn't random, it's a confession. Every twitch, every outburst, every passive-aggressive move is them admitting what they'll never say out loud. You won. And yet, you still question yourself, still doubt, still ask if you're really chosen, while your enemies are out here, unraveling in real time. You see it, you've felt it, they're twitching now, acting erratic. Passive 1 minute, aggressive the next. Loud in public, quiet in private. Posting indirects, spreading gossip with shaking hands. Showing up in rooms they swore they'd never enter, just to check if you're still shining. That's not coincidence. That's panic. But you're too busy second-guessing your own power to recognize what it is. Chosen one, wake up. You keep asking for confirmation that the universe is with you, while your enemies are giving you proof in the form of full-blown breakdowns. The same people who once moved like puppet masters now look like they're hanging on by a thread. Why? Because they are. Because every lie they told, every block they tried to place in your path, every prayer they made for your downfall is now sitting in their own lap, with interest. And you're still asking for a sign? Here it is. They're panicking. That's the sign. That's the signal. That's the echo of the universe stepping into the situation and making sure everyone eats what they served. Because the universe doesn't show up with fireworks. It shows up with patterns, with exposure, with complete reversal. And that's exactly what's happening. You didn't get lucky, you got aligned. You didn't stumble into peace, you were pulled into it by force. And now, the same people who thought they could move freely in your downfall are the ones trapped in their own web of destruction. and they can feel the walls closing in. That's why they're panicking. That's why they're suddenly checking in, suddenly praying, suddenly rebranding like it's not too late. But it is too late. Because when you're chosen, the universe does not negotiate. It doesn't bargain with the people who tried to bury what it was trying to grow. It simply responds, swiftly, quietly, brutally. So stop acting like their behavior doesn't mean anything. Stop brushing it off when they suddenly go quiet, or start clinging to spirituality they never respected before, or start mimicking your language and your light like it's going to save them. They're spiraling, and their desperation is your confirmation. Their collapse is your evidence. And still you doubt? Let's call it what it is. You've been programmed to associate fear with loss. But in your case, their fear is your gain. Their breakdown is your breakthrough. You've always been taught to empathize with your enemies, to see the good in them, to give second chances. But chosen one, that soft heart of yours, it's been abused too many times, and the universe is done letting you carry the weight of people who threw stones, then cried when you didn't bleed for them. This is justice. This is divine order. And if you're seeing the people who once tried to control you, manipulate you, and drain you now walking around lost, confused, and exposed, you're not imagining things. That's not guilt. That's not your energy being off. That's spiritual authority in full motion. And the best part, you didn't have to retaliate. You didn't have to argue. You didn't have to explain. You just aligned. And that alone sent tremors through their whole foundation. Because the enemy only thrives in reaction. When you stopped reacting, they started crumbling. They need you distracted to win. They need you doubting yourself. They need you lowering your frequency so they can reach you again. But now that you're elevated, now that you're untouchable, they're suffocating in the very low place they tried to keep you in. Stop overlooking it. Stop waiting for them to say, "I was wrong." They already did, with their silence, with their shaky energy, with their sudden retreat. Because the panic you see in them now is the loudest apology you'll ever get. And no, it doesn't come with closure. It comes with confirmation. The universe heard every word, every attack, every lie, and now it's responding through your rise. So walk boldly. Stop questioning what has already been settled. They are panicking because you are untouchable. They're glitching because you are unbothered. They're collapsing because you've finally remembered who you are. And now that you've remembered, chosen one, don't you dare forget again. Number 7, being chosen means carrying the weight and outshining it. The crown you bear isn't light. It's forged in trials they could never endure. And that's exactly why they wanted to snatch it off your head. Not because they wanted the weight, but because they wanted the glory. They didn't want to bleed like you bled, cry like you cried, lose like you lost. They wanted the glow without the grave, the crown without the crushing. But the universe doesn't work like that. The chosen don't get handed power. They earn it through pain, isolation, and relentless transformation. And you, chosen one, you've been carrying a weight most people would have folded under. You've walked through fire, through betrayal, through spiritual warfare that no one even knew about. You showed up with a smile while bleeding internally. You gave love while being drained dry. You stood alone when your soul was screaming for someone to just see you. And still, they said you were too much. Still, they said you were trying too hard. Still, they tried to reduce your purpose to a performance because they couldn't fathom that the weight you carry wasn't decoration, it was armor. You've got people watching your life now with envy, but they didn't watch your nights in silence, your days crawling through grief, your prayers that felt like they hit a ceiling. They weren't there when the pressure hit so hard you forgot how to breathe. They weren't there when you had to rebuild your identity piece by painful piece. So no, they don't get to have your crown, because they didn't survive your collapse. They don't understand the responsibility of being chosen. It's not a trend. It's not a cute quote. It's a contract with the universe. And when you carry it, you don't just walk in blessings, you walk in burden. You're the one who breaks generational patterns. You're the one who speaks truth when everyone else plays dumb. You're the one who stands up when others stay silent. And that's why your path has always felt heavier. But even under that weight, you still rise. You still shine. You still outpace people who had every advantage you never did. Because the chosen don't just carry pressure, they convert it into power, and that's what they'll never understand. They thought your confidence was arrogance. They thought your standards were entitlement, but they never looked close enough to see the cost, to see the nights you wanted to quit, the loneliness you didn't choose but had to survive, the mental battles you fought with a smile on your face and a scream in your soul. And still, you showed up. Still, you rose. Still, you wore the crown and never once dropped it. That's why they'll always whisper. That's why they'll always plot. Because deep down, they know they could never carry what you've carried and still look that light. Still move with that much peace. Still have the audacity to dream again. And you still doubt it. You still sit there asking, why me? Why not you? Who else could have walked through everything you did and come out this refined? Who else could have endured betrayal after betrayal and still kept their heart intact? Who else could have been thrown into pits and still came out with wisdom, clarity, and purpose? You didn't just survive, you transcended. And that's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you chosen. Because while the world tried to label you as broken, the universe was labeling you as built. So stop apologizing for the weight you carry. Stop wishing it was easier. Stop asking to be understood by people who couldn't carry a fraction of your journey. They want your light, but they don't want your night. They want your strength, but they couldn't handle your storm. They want your results, not your reality. And here you are, still standing, still evolving, still shining through the weight. That's what the crown is. It's not gold and glitter, it's grit. It's sleepless nights, silent battles, divine assignments. It's waking up with purpose when the pain hasn't even left your chest. It's walking through fire and leaving footprints behind for the next chosen one to follow. That's what makes you royal. So wear the crown, feel the weight, honor the pressure, because the heavier it gets, the more proof you have that the universe is trusting you with something most people could never survive. And if they're watching you with envy now, let them, because they'll never know the cost. Only the glow. Number 8. They tried to dim you. Now they're blinded. They threw shade, but forgot the sun burns through the darkest clouds. They didn't just dislike you, they feared what you could become. So they tried to stop the inevitable. They threw whispers like daggers. They twisted truths like wires. They hoped their shade would be enough to snuff out your spark. But they never understood what you really were. You weren't flickering, you were charging. They tried to dim you because they knew they couldn't match you. And instead of growing, they plotted. Instead of healing, they hated. Because when you showed up, fully present, fully focused, fully becoming, you reminded them of everything they refused to confront in themselves. And now they can't even look at you. Because what they once mocked is now a glow they can't ignore. Your growth didn't just shock them, it blinded them. Every move you make is a reminder that you weren't built to break. Every level you rise to is a silent scream in their heads that says, "You failed to stop me." You don't realize the weight of your presence, do you? That even your silence speaks louder than their noise. Even your absence disrupts their peace. You took your light back, and they've been stumbling in the dark ever since. They said you changed, and they're right. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped handing out access like it was free. You stopped playing small so they wouldn't feel insecure. And when you did, they lost their grip. Not on you, but on their illusion of power. You weren't supposed to rise. You weren't supposed to heal. You weren't supposed to figure it out. But you did. And now, they're exposed. You didn't just slip through their hands. You leveled up while they were laughing. You stopped looking for their applause and started building without an audience. And that was the most terrifying thing you ever did. Because they needed you distracted to feel relevant. Your light doesn't just glow, it reveals. It reveals who's real and who's performing. It reveals who was loyal and who was just hanging around to feed off you. And now that you're shining without them, they're choking on the brightness they tried to bury. It's funny, isn't it? They said you were too much. Now they're trying to copy the very energy they told you to tone down. They said you were unstable. Now they can't hold a single relationship together. They said you were doing too much. Now they're throwing everything at the wall just to stay seen. But nothing's working. Because your light was never about being seen. It was about being real. It came from your resilience. From the nights you sat alone, rebuilding from the ground up with no one clapping. From the moments you chose growth over comfort, again and again. That's why you shine. And that's why they'll never touch what you've become. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them attention. You don't even owe them recognition. Let them feel the weight of what they tried to bury. Let them sit in the shadows they created. Because while they threw shade, hoping to shrink you, you became the storm and the sun. They see you now, every win, every smile, every step forward. And it's not just light to them, it's punishment. Because nothing stings more than watching the very person they tried to erase become impossible to ignore. So no, you weren't dimmed, you were focused. You were building in silence while they wasted energy on noise. And now they're squinting, reaching, stumbling. Not because you did anything to them, but because you finally did something for yourself. Let that light keep rising. Let them talk, watch, obsess. Because the louder they get, the clearer it becomes. You're the one they couldn't stop. And the light they can't escape. Number 9. Doubt kills more dreams than defeat ever will. Doubt kills more dreams than defeat ever will, and if you keep second-guessing yourself, you'll do the enemy's work for them. Chosen one, let's cut the softness. Let's stop sugarcoating your habits of hesitation and pretending it's humility, because the truth is, you haven't been held back by failure. You've been held back by you. Your fear, your excuses, your overthinking. You've been waiting for a sign while ignoring the proof that's been screaming at you from every direction. You were never stopped. You stalled yourself. The universe lined the path. It removed people. It shifted your circumstances. It whispered, then shouted, then shoved you toward your purpose. And every time you hesitated, you looked at your gift and said, maybe later. You felt the pull and said, what if I'm wrong? Meanwhile, the people who laughed at you, the ones who threw dirt on your name, they were watching you question yourself and celebrating it. Because your doubt did what their sabotage couldn't. Let that sit. They didn't need to destroy you. Your second guessing was doing the heavy lifting. You talk about purpose like it's waiting for something outside of you. But the only thing your purpose has been waiting for is your decision. The moment you decide to believe in what's already yours, the moment everything shifts. But until then, you're just sitting on gold, pretending it's gravel. And yes, I'm talking to you. You've said things like, "What if it's all in my head? What if I'm not that special? What if I fail and prove them right?" You already failed the second you believed that nonsense. Failure isn't falling. Failure is staying still when the universe is literally clearing the path in front of you. And you're sitting there, paralyzed by thoughts that were never yours to begin with. Where do you think those doubts came from? You think it's a coincidence? That every time you're close to stepping into your power, your mind suddenly floods with fear? No, that's interference. That's noise. That's the resistance that shows up specifically when you're close to alignment. You don't feel afraid when you're off track. You feel empty. Fear shows up the moment you're headed toward what matters, because that's when the stakes are real. And instead of pushing through it, you keep entertaining the idea that maybe you're not ready. Maybe it's not time. Maybe they were right. Stop it. You are chosen. The universe already confirmed that. The signs, the synchronicities, the way people react to you, that's not imagination. That's evidence. Evidence that your very existence shakes things up. So why are you still playing small? You keep waiting until you're more confident. Confidence isn't a prerequisite. It's a byproduct of action. You move first, and the universe meets you there. But sitting still, doing nothing, talking yourself out of moves, that's how you die with potential still untouched. You've been trusted with weight, insight, awareness that most people can't even begin to comprehend, and you're questioning whether you're qualified. You are the qualification. You didn't get assigned this path because you were perfect. You got it because you could carry what would crush others. But here's the truth you don't want to hear. All that power means nothing if you don't believe in it. You can be the most gifted person alive, but if you doubt yourself every step of the way, you'll never activate it. And that's the real loss. Not the people who left, not the missed opportunity, not the closed doors. The loss is when a chosen one turns their own power into a prison because fear feels safer than potential. So this ends now. No more shrinking. No more fake humility disguised as just being cautious. No more waiting to feel ready. You are ready because if you weren't, you wouldn't be called. The universe doesn't tap people on the shoulder for fun. You were chosen for a reason. Now act like it, walk like it, speak like it, create like it. Move like someone backed by a force that never gave up on you, even when you did. Because the truth is, they couldn't stop you. Life couldn't stop you. Only you can stop you. So don't. Not now, not again, not ever. So now you know. All that pain, all that silence, all those moments of doubt, they weren't evidence of weakness. They were proof that you're chosen, proof that the universe was preparing you, protecting you, positioning you. And those who tried to break you, they only revealed how unshakable you really are. From this point forward, no more shrinking, no more second-guessing. The light is yours. Now own it. If this message woke something up in you, like this video, subscribe for more. Drop the number 77 in the comments if you know you're chosen, and share this with another soul the universe hasn't forgotten.